everyone. The second half has begun, and an early foray into the Lane United penalty area from Washington, and amounts to a throw-in. Early pressure onto the 10-man Lane United team. An unfortunate red card in the 43rd minute from Brendan Anderson, the center back, and was replaced promptly by a Lane United sub.
Here's Kyrie Shelton trying to clear it out of the danger zone for Lane United. Cleared all the way forward by Casey Phillips. Thank you for joining us for the second half of Lane United versus the Washington Crossfire here at the Willamette Lane Center in Springfield, Oregon. Gray skies above, but the wind and the rain have subsided in the slightest for the second half. Goalkeeper correction. Tyler Viston is in net for the Washington Crossfire. We had misannounced that Mike Arguello is in net, but Tyler Viston just has not changed his jersey number yet. So correction, Tyler Viston is in net for Washington Crossfire. Riley, do you see any changes out here for Lane United?
Well, it's got to be the counter-attacking style. You can see already Kyrie Shelton has dropped off into midfield to Hollis as well, and it will be Bevins up top looking to chase down the long ball, really looking to get his chest on the ball and get a shot on goal, because he's had some joy down the center in previous minutes, so we'll see what happens.
Tyler Stelter, who is introduced for Chico Sastre, just made his first impact on the game, a clearance out, and defending against the Crossfire here is he now moving forward, working along the side is Washington. Great swinging ball into the box. Casey Phillips stood strong as the Crossfire number 9 of Hamza Haddadi, second half substitute here for Washington Crossfire, enters the fray.
You have to wonder if the breaking continuity between Alarcon, Brendan Anderson, and Bersano, all OSU players, will disrupt sort of the defensive communication with the introduction of the new sub and the red card. You have to wonder if the communication will be there. Bersano will be looking to motivate his players and communicate with his players as to the oncoming runs of the Crossfire players.
Substitute on for the Crossfire, Hamza Haddadi, takes place of Jordan Collars at defense for the men in black today. Now we have a Bersano goal kick. Down 10 men are Lane United after the disappointing red card from Lane United's Brendan Anderson. We'll see how John Gallus's men react to playing down for the first time in their career. Alarcon breaks up play for Lane United off of the Crossfire attack. Now here is Lane trying to work their way out of their own half.
If I was John Gallus, coach of Lane United right now, I'd be urging my players on in the halftime pep talk to really give everything for this second half, because there is the luxury of having 5 substitute players able to enter the field. So unlike traditional professional leagues where there are only 3 substitutes, they have double that in the PDL. So I think John Gallus is going to look to push his players on, run their hearts out, and look to make substitutions at tactical moments in the game.
Forward to Bevins, who wasn't quite able to get on the end of that cross from Sasoverovic. Rain starting to come down here at Willamette Lane Center.
And I think that is going to suit Lane United, which is contrary to the first half, where it's definitely suited this Washington team pressuring the Lane United defensive line. I think that Bevins and Shelton will be interchanging to look to put pressure on the Crossfire defensive line, make a mistake in the rain, the slippery turf, and hopefully it'll capitalize with a chance on goal.
More space to operate here for the Washington Crossfire after Lane United went down to 10 men with Brendan's red card. A little bit of space moving forward. Dangerous attack from the Crossfire, and tries to chip it up and over. That was Jose Ocampo. Never really challenged Bersano, who plays the quick ball out to Sasoverovic on the broadcasting side of the field. Now Casey Phillips, who has slotted in at center back, he misfires, and we have a Crossfire thrown in the offensive third.
You have to say it was a cheeky attempt from Ocampo, but I have to say Billy Wiskel, the coach for the Crossfire, won't be pleased with that chance, because they have so much time and space to work the ball around. He'll be disappointed.
Haddadi getting involved, taken by Kyrie Shelton though. Dohalis bombing forward, and a great play by Shelton. Dohalis' touch lets him down. A heavy touch sends it over the end line for a Crossfire goal kick, though the first offensive foray of this half for Lane United. Promising play.
That is exactly what John Gallus has instructed his players to do. Get Kyrie Shelton the ball, let him distribute out to the wings. Unfortunately, an uncharacteristically poor touch from Dohalis sends it into touch, but John Gallus will be happy with that sort of momentum.
You had likened Shelton's play in the first half to maybe that of Ibrahimovic holding his run, and a dangerous attack here, just corralled in the nick of time by the Lane United keeper. That really should have been converted by Washington Crossfire.
Well, if Casey Phillips wasn't there, that would have been a sure goal. Bersano would not have been able to make a touch there. Casey Phillips has been the star of the defensive line for me for Lane United.
Here the Crossfire with the horns of the train in the back moving towards the Lane United goalkeeper. Turned over though just in time. Dohalis now turns it over now to Crossfire, trying to find their way to break through the back four of Lane United to little success now. Bersano with the ball in the back. Taking his time, down 10 men, he finds Casey Phillips. Phillips urging his team forward. He finds Dohalis sitting in his midfielder role, looking to find the ball at his feet. That was Lukasik finding Phillips, who switches it to Alacon. Alacon gets his head up and he sees the run from Sasaverovic. Sasaverovic just maybe a little too far advanced for the ball that was coming his way, headed back to the goalkeeper, that is Tyler Viston. The correction from the first half when we had announced Mike Aguero. Tyler Viston corrals it and plays it back forward for the Washington Crossfire, now trying to break their way out of their own half.
I think John Gallus is really going to want to get the most out of Kyrie Shelton, although this counterattack looks promising for Washington.
Here comes Washington, settles it, finds his support. Composed play from the men in black as Christian Roldan plays it out wide and back into the middle, almost found by a Crossfire offenseman, though cleared well by Lane United. Rain continues to fall here, now an offensive effort, finding Bevins, who's onside. Bevins one-on-one with the keeper. His touch was heavy on this slick turf, too heavy, and into the hands of Tyler Viston. What good awareness from the keeper to be off his line in case of that heavy touch.
Once again, great awareness from Kyrie Shelton. As I was saying, John Gallus only has his services for 4 Lane United games before he goes to the MLS trials, so he will be wanting to impress, and impressing he has done so far, getting vital touches on the ball and feeding it into Bevins through Dohalis. Great play, and that's exactly what John Gallus will want.
Here come the Crossfire moving forward with Jose Ocampo on the right wing. He has Poplaski on his right, making a streaking run, trying to find the substitute Hamza Haddadi in the middle. Haddadi, though, his touch was not true, turned over to LUFC now with Lukasik.
Very calm from Lukasik, and great distribution from the back from the Lane United defensive line.
Dohalis, who's not the paciest, but he does have those moves to throw off his defenders, finds Lukasik. Lukasik forward, a weak ball up to Shelton, but he finds his own rebound, sprays it back out wide. Here comes the ball into the box and cleared out. Little miscommunication between the defenseman and the goalkeeper, though well cleared by the Washington Crossfire. Here comes Washington, though we have a whistle going their way. Bersano playing high off of his line as goalie, as he did last game. We saw him, especially in the first half, play more of a keeper sweeper role, and it looks to be he is playing off of his line in response to Lane United playing with a high line, pushing forward, trying to play that offsides trap. Here comes the Crossfire down the left wing, looking up, finding a man across. Bersano, though, well intercepted as that was heading to Poplaski on the back post.
That's great hands from Bersano, and as a former goalkeeper, I can assure you it's not not easy to get your hands on the ball when it is a wet turf and it's a rainy day, and he's done well there.
And the rain continues to fall here. We're getting spurts of sun and spurts of rain and wind. Players reacting accordingly, though. Not too many wayward balls as the play seems pretty organized. Washington with an offensive attack and out for a corner kick, the first of this half for the Crossfire.
These wingers for Lane United are going to have to work so hard in order to keep the width really protected in the defensive areas. Casey Phillips has shifted more central, although Sasaverovich, the left back, has stayed in a more left back traditional role. Casey Phillips is slotting into the center, so it is really up to the responsibilities for DeHalls to keep out the right attacking wing.
Good cross met by the head of the substitute in Haddadi, but out again now, this time for a Lane United goal kick for Bassano.
You know, he's not the strongest not the quickest center back, Alarcon, but he is so strong. He actually benches up to 320 pounds, and he's not afraid to show that on the pitch, constantly putting his body into defenders, and as you can see there, ushering the ball out of play. Strong play from him.
It must be said, benching that much weight, 350 pounds, as Riley just mentioned, he is 20 years old, standing at 5'11", benching 350 at only 165 pounds. There is a lot of muscle to that small frame. So, not to be messed with by forwards, not to be taken lightly. Here comes the ball forward for Lane United. Casey Phillips finds his head, touches it down to himself, and out deflected for a Washington throw-in. The chants of the Red Aces ringing loudly as Lane United tries to find a foothold in this game and getting some more offensive opportunities going. One real opportunity for Bevins was just wasted by a heavy touch on this wet and slick pitch. Casey Phillips goes for the composed method and hits the ball out of play for a safe throw-in as his teammates return back from offense.
Yeah, you can hear the Red Aces chanting, "Here we go, team," and that's exactly what they need. They need some motivation to stay focused and determined despite being down a man in the second half. And as a result, they've had several opportunities, maybe not the most clean cut of chances, but they have been there. The opportunities have arisen.
Here comes the ball into the box, flicked on by the substitute in Haddadi, but some tugging will result in a Lane United free kick, rather.
Yeah, it was Vizcaíno that was tugged back in the box as he made the clearance. Strong from him, playing out of St. Louis University, which is one of the best programs in the country for men's soccer. So Lane United are pretty lucky to have his services here. Talented young kid.
Keep an eye on him for the rest of the season. We will. Shelton now working out the midway line. Won by Washington, but found by Lane United as a little bit of pressure makes Bassano nervous as he clears the ball out of play. Despite the rain, good showing here from the Lane United fans as a few hundred have made their way out despite the torrential downstorm earlier in the day. And a cross coming into the middle, almost met by Washington, cleared well by Lane United. Ball sprayed wide. That heavy turf with the wetness just proving a little bit too much for Washington as we have another goal kick. Bassano taking his time, down 10 men, intelligently giving his team a chance to breathe.
You can see it's a very slippery surface out there, as we've mentioned. Even the referee, Oscar Rivas, is slipping a little bit with his boots on, and the players having a laugh about it. But it's not easy conditions to play out there. It's very slick. You have to be very precise in the ball.
Lukashik finds Casey Phillips playing at center back now. Phillips gets his head up and he bombs the ball across field. Shelton looking to get under it, dummies it. Great dummy by Shelton to leave it for Tyler Stelter. Stelter keeps it in play, finding substitute Josep Ribes. Ribes taken down, and we will have a penalty kick. The substitute making an instant impact. Lane United has a chance to draw this game 1-1 with 30 minutes left with a free kick. Who will take this, Riley?
Great play by Stelton, getting into the box, committing defenders, and it looks like it will be Shelton that takes the penalty.
And it looks like we did have a yellow card, correct, Riley?
I believe it was a yellow card. I think it would have been a harsh red. He was not the last man, nor was it a goal-scoring opportunity yet. And it looks like Dohalis has stepped up. It could be one of several players from Lane United, but it looks like Shelton was eyeing it before.
Dohalis certainly doesn't lack in confidence, although Shelton was the first one to grab this ball and set it, and it looks as if it will be Shelton. With a very, very long lead up to this free kick, you'd assume this means power. And he slots it past the keeper. Lane United's second goal ever. Kyrie Shelton, the tall, big-bodied forward, finding the back of the net. It is a tie game here at the Willamette Lane Center. 1-1, 30 minutes left, and we have a game as the smoke streams from the Red Aces section and the songs ring through the Willamette Lane Center. Riley, 1-1 of 10 men for Lane United. How do they respond and build off of this momentum?
John Gallus probably couldn't be happier than he is right now. Great opportunity. What a confident finish from Shelton. Calmly places it into the bottom right corner. No chance for the keeper, Viston. Great finish, 1-1, and he'll be very happy, the coach, to see it at 1-1 despite going a man down.
The halftime substitute Rebus making an instant impact, winning that free kick, which was dispatched intelligently by Kyrie Shelton, opting to find a corner rather than just blast it in with power, and a corner he did find under the outstretched hands of Tyler Viston. Great goal, great PK for Lane United as they look to gain a foothold and work their way back into this game. Bersano with the goal kick, plays it short, returned back to Bersano. Now Casey Phillips finds some space wide, receiving the ball. Lukashik also available on the left touchline, hugging it, hopefully able to find some space forward. Phillips now clears it up, great clearance. Kyrie is at the end of it, though, intercepted well by number 17, Nicholas Bassanio of the Crossfire.
So very calm play from Bersano and Casey Phillips, the interchange at the touchline, and I think that will suit the United team because they were able to commit more players forward from the on-rushing pressure of Washington.
Dohalis now turning calmly, spraying a ball out wide, only finding Bevins after a deflection. Bevins turned over with a little physical play from Washington. Well done to win the ball back. Alacon now finding Dohalis, a handball. We'll see a free kick going the way of Washington.
And you can definitely see the turn of events here. Definitely a lot more going the way of Lane United right now, and they'll definitely be looking to take advantage of Washington conceding that goal.
In comes a ball to the substitute, almost made its way into the back of the net. Hamza Haddadi's effort. We will see a Washington Crossfire corner kick after the deflection wide by Bersano.
Bersano, great hands, intelligently getting in front of the defender there, and the striker as well, the substitute. Great play from him.
Check out LaneUnitedFC.com to browse through the club store. iPhone cases, t-shirts, sweatshirt, and jerseys up for sale there. Also, be sure to follow us on Twitter at LaneUnitedFC, and also follow us on Facebook by searching Lane United Football Club.
You can see there was a driven corner attempt there as Connor was announcing the club merchandise. Not very effective. Cleared out very well by the center back after a deflection. It will be one more corner.
Another corner incoming for the Crossfire. Great looping ball to the back post. Body's under it, and a body did get on it with a Washington Crossfire header. Looked to be an open net, but enough pressure was had around him that his effort went high and over the crossbar.
Yeah, Bersano not able to get that ball. So many bodies in the way, and the center back for Washington Crossfire, Justin Smith, able to get a header to it. Unfortunately, not on target for him.
Bersano now, as his line moves forward, and he boots it towards Kyrie Shelton. Bevins under it as well, as Poplowski for the Crossfire gets under that ball. Dohalis there to try to flick it on, although turned over to the Crossfire now, switching possession regularly. Now the substitute, Haddadi, sprays it wide. Bassanio chipping it forward. Poplowski flicks it on. Great play by Lukashik. Lukashik now has time to move forward. Dohalis streaming down the left. Another heavy touch from the defender, and well corralled out of play, shielded by the Crossfire defender for a Crossfire goal kick.
It was actually Sasaverovic Connor. Lukashik was playing in a more central role, but great play by him. Great tackle from the left back. Unable to result in a chance.
Lukasik was the substitute, and at halftime on came Josep Baldo Ribes, the midfielder, 19 years old, 5'9", out of Valencia, Spain, one of the internationals here on Lane United. Here comes LUFC looking to build off of that PK that was just converted earlier. Now here is Vizcano. Almost an effort on net to no avail. We will have a goal kick for the Washington Crossfire. Sorry about that confusion, folks. And ball quickly comes back into play.
And that was Vizcaíno who had the opportunity there. Just a scuffed kick off the outside of the boot, probably attributed to some moisture on the ball and on the pitch. He'll be pretty frustrated. He didn't make great contact.
Poplaski with a poor ball to his teammate streaking down the left wing, turned over to LUFC with Casey Phillips, who smartly finds Sasaverovic on the left wing. Turned over though once again. Bevins using his body to marshal control of the ball. Shelton moving forward to Hollis, moving forward on the left, seemingly always finding that few yards of open space is Hollis. Impressive play off of the ball from him, Riley.
That was a wonderful ball from Ribes to find Hollis in space. It was called offsides, but the right idea. You know, there's so much more attacking verve from the Lane United team as opposed to the first 15 minutes of the game, and approaching the 70th minute, John Gallus will be urging his team on.
For the average soccer fan, the most important thing might be the play on the ball, but for the more critical gaze, it's really the play off the ball that makes differences in the game. Wondolowski for the San Jose Earthquakes is known for his expert play off the ball. That is what is reminding me of Dohalis. He finds the space, finds the run. He's a nightmare for the center backs who never know where he's going to be. If it's the left side, if it's the right side, if it's down the middle, he's always finding some space. As we have a substitute, on comes Rolando Velasquez, the 17-year-old that we much touted earlier for his great play last game. He takes place of Bevins as the striker here for LUFC.
And you have to say that Velasquez is a much-needed breath of fresh air into the Lane United squad. He's willing to make those runs. He's an aggressive player despite being a bit smaller. He's willing to scrap for those attempts and chase down balls into space, which no doubt Ribes and Hollis will be playing into the wide areas. Hopefully cause problems for the Crossfire defense. It's another ball, and Bersano lets it go wide, and it seems like Sasaverovic has comfortably ushered it out for a goal kick.
Yeah, shielded well by Sasaverovic, and you would be. I personally am surprised at the kind of lack of offensive momentum here from the Crossfire, given that they are up one player, but well defended this entire half so far by LUFC.
Yeah, you have to admit that there's maybe lacking some. They're having some early season blues, and maybe don't have the correct sort of formations and communication between the players. After the penalty was scored so well by Shelton, there was about 3 or 4 minutes of time where they did attack, but not so much anymore.
Tyler Stelzer trying to work his way around a Crossfire defender, turned over cheaply, and a ball forward is wayward and will result in an LUFC throw-in. 67 minutes, almost 68 here, gone in the second ever match of LUFC, as we have mentioned. 1-1 is the score off of a Kyrie Shelton dispatched penalty kick.
Yeah, it was a great effort, wasn't it?
It was a great effort following the Crossfire's goal only 5 minutes into this game, and it's a 1-1 game all tied up, although Lane United is one man down. A little bit of pressure forward from LUFC, cleared out by the goalkeeper Tyler Viston of the Crossfire.
It looks like Sasaverovic is going to be playing a little bit more advanced. He has so much space to operate in here. If they can get the ball over to the left side, the right is very congested at this point. You have to admit, I'm very surprised at Lane United. They're playing surprisingly well considering they only have 10 men on the pitch, and here's Velasquez to try to make a difference.
Dohalis leaves it for Velasquez, who touched around the defender in Nicholas Basano, who receives a yellow card for his tackle. Studs up as Velasquez did win the ball first and get the touch around. Fair call from the ref and fair play from both players.
You have to say that's exactly what Velasquez is on the pitch to do. Commit defenders, make them throw a reckless challenge into the fray, and hopefully capitalize on a set piece like this. Kyrie Shelton, the perfect target man for this sort of angle.
A little bit too far out to shoot here at about a 40-yard effort, 45 perhaps, but Dohalis over the ball, Kyrie, Casey Phillips, and Lukasik back post. And the effort finding the feet of Sasaverovich, was up there. Sasaverovich almost converted that effort. A great ball in by LUFC. A counterattack, though, from the Washington Crossfire moving forward with numbers. Beating his man or two was Andy Toma, though turned over to LUFC, now trying to work their way back forward with Josep Baldo Ribes.
Ribes and Velasquez playing well in together, and you can see the change in tactics from John Gallus. Sasaverovich making those runs in, very much helping and assisting the support from his other forward players. Kyrie Shelton comes to mind, and nearly paid off in the end to give the Lane United the lead there.
Alacon over the ball now for LUFC as they have a free kick in their own half. Bombed forward by Alacon into the rushing steps of Rolando Velasquez, the 17-year-old substitute that had a stellar game 2 nights ago. Washington now on the ball. Touched by Kyrie Shelton out for a Washington throw-in. Looks as if Velasquez is playing in a higher-up forward role. We saw him play more reserved in the game 2 nights ago, but perhaps with a man down, playing as the lone striker up top with his creative feet and his ability to beat a player on the ground. John Gallus is hoping he is able to manufacture opportunities not only for the team but for himself and get some shots on goal that have been lacking this half from Lane United.
Well, it seemed they've actually picked up and play a bit in the first half. Excuse me for that microphone difficulty. But it seems like there is a much more motivation in the Lane United squad to commit players forward and take on defenders from the Crossfire team, much more so than the first half, which is slightly ironic considering 10 men. There is Sasaverovich doing his defensive duties as well as his offensive duties.
All the way back to the Washington goalkeeper, Tyler Viston. Viston now finds his defender, turns forward upfield. Here is Justin Schmidt working his way forward. Turned over, though, and Velasquez is on sides, and he has room to move. Cuts it back. He has Dohalis, the referee. He will be giving a yellow card to Velasquez for the dive. Riley, that was a point of discussion for us 2 days ago. We did say that his mentality perhaps wasn't quite where it needs to be as a 17-year-old playing at this level, trying to buy himself a call. Fans don't seem to like it. I think it was a fair assessment, and he did make a meal of that tackle.
Well, the fans are always going to get behind their player, but it looks like Velasquez trying to con the referee there to giving what looked like it would have been a penalty considering the position, but definitely getting booked for simulation. The yellow card seemingly deserved. Hopefully he can cut that out of his game in the future.
Those antics were present in the game 2 days ago, and he is young in his career in the PDL, but we will see how he continues and grows while playing on this strong LUFC squad. Moving forward is Washington.
Very clever chant coming from the Red Aces supporter section, taunting the referee, respectfully disagreeing with him, although it can be said it seems like a pretty definite decision. Good call from the referee.
And back to the Washington Crossfire keeper. Here comes Washington moving forward. Definitely a correct simulation call. Washington moving forward.
Another wayward pass from the Washington Crossfire. Seems they haven't really gotten any offensive rhythm in this half.
Trying to get offensive momentum is either team. A lot of balls bouncing around the middle third of the field, the neutral zone you might call it. Trying to really get a foothold and get some shots on goal. Neither team really has had many shots on goal this half, Riley.
Yeah, it's been a pretty scrappy game so far, full of mistakes. Velasquez almost capitalizing on a mistake from the Washington Crossfire center back, Bisano.
Great tackle along the right wing from Josep Ribes, saving a foray into the offensive third of the Washington Crossfire. 74 minutes gone here, about 16 minutes remaining at the Willamette Lane Center in Springfield, Oregon, in the beautiful Lane County surrounded by forests and hills. Fresh air up here, dissimilar to many areas on the West Coast. A lot of natural beauty in Oregon, and that natural beauty sometimes bites this team with the rain that is very ever-present in the Pacific Northwest.
But it seems to have subsided slightly as this half has progressed. The sun is now peering through the dark clouds of Eugene, Oregon, Springfield, Oregon, and it looks like the players are going to benefit from that.
Jose Ocampo sends a great curving ball in, though well defended by Casey Phillips and Julio Alarcon.
Great clearance from Alarcon. Again, timeless clearance.
Velasquez praying, and he works his way around the keeper, though, out off of his line. Well done to corral that ball before it really caused him any trouble. Trying to work their way out of their own defensive third are the Crossfire. Working his way forward now is William Tice, another substitute. Trying to create a little room for himself. Well defended, though, by Sasaverovic. Nick James finds his teammate Justin Schmidt, sprays it out wide to Jose Ocampo. Excuse me, to Nicholas Basano. LUFC throw-in finds its way towards Ribes. And we will have a substitute now for Lane United, as we will see who comes off and who comes on. It looks as if Francisco Vizcaino of LUFC will be making room on the turf for the substitute, which we'll get to you as soon as we are able to see the number on his back. It looks as if this is Gomez, Edgar Gomez, the midfielder, 23 years old, standing at 5'8", 155 pounds, out of Riverside, California, taking the field.
He's a very small but very tenacious midfielder. He likes to get stuck in, defensive-minded player, and able to recycle possession and distribute it out to midfielders such as DeHollis in a more advanced position. He'll be a welcome sight for Coach John Gallus as his team begins to tire.
Alarcon chipping forward. Velasquez playing high, just trying to see if the ball were to trickle over the top. Alarcon letting the ball bounce over. Kyrie Shelton playing deep back in his own defensive shape. And onside is Crossfire, only the keeper to beat, and a save of the game from Bersano. That was a certain goal. One-on-one with the keeper, not able to touch himself around. LUFC defended well.
So strong from Bersano, coming off his line early, making himself big, stopping the angles. Very good job from the captain, the goalkeeper.
2-1 was avoided there by a great goalkeeping effort, though Crossfire back in possession now to chance of the Red Aces, celebrating that great save from Bersano. Shelton.
That very well may be the best opportunity that the Crossfires had since going, having Lane United go one man down, and unfortunately for them, they weren't able to capitalize, but great save from Bersano once again. He's been great in the first two matches for Lane United.
DeHollis flicks on and almost forward for Sasaverovic. DeHollis now throws in. Sasaverovic on the ball, finding Edgar Gomez. Gomez turned over. Here is Christian Roldan finding his left back, moving forward up the pitch to Poplawski. Poplawski has a few options streaking through the middle, takes his own space before switching it across. Good passing from the Washington squad before opting to go back to their support. Into the box towards the substitute, who does well to flick it onto his own team. Sprayed wide, really exploiting that space left from the red card earlier awarded to Brendan Anderson after getting 2 yellow cards. Here is Edgar Gomez moving forward now for LUFC, finding Velasquez, back to Gomez. Gomez plays the 1-2 through to Velasquez, doesn't quite have the pace to catch up to Justin Schmidt. Quick on the feet, not quite as quick in the sprint as Velasquez, though working well with his body against the Washington Crossfire. That will never be called a foul. 50-50 effort. Both players hustling and tussling, trying to make their way to the ball.
Well, it seems like several of the players and even some of the fans were notioning that may have been a back pass to the keeper, never going to be called by the referee.
It was 2 players fighting for the ball. Whether or not it came off of one of them first or not. It was most definitely a 50-50 ball, which is fair game for the keeper to pick up.
Edgar Gomez coming off the bench. A couple of errant touches. That's to be expected considering he is just introduced to this game. But he is a very passionate player, according to John Gallus, willing to put his body on the line and really commit for his team. Very vocal in practice. I think that's exactly what Lane United needs at this point.
Phillips finding Sasaverovic, who found Shelton. Back to Sasaverovic. Shelton now again on the ball. Shelton. Alacon. Well, a little bit of trouble there, but his clearance found its way.
Fortuitous clearance there.
Great turn by Josep Ribes. Ribes finds Sasaverovic wide. This left side of the field has remained much intact. However, the right side has had a few substitutes over there. Now Edgar Gomez pressuring forward to Haddadi. Not able to get his head on it, the number 9 for Washington Crossfire.
Casey Phillips and Alacon have been great at the back, getting their head on the balls, cutting out crosses, making clearances happen again and again. And here will be another substitution, it looks like.
10 minutes remaining. Substitute coming on. It looks as if this is...
It will be DeHollis making way for the Lane United player.
This is number 15 for Lane United, Alex Pipo Peralt, the midfielder, 24 years old, one of the overage players on this roster, standing 5'11", 170 pounds, from Valencia, Spain, one of the older players and also one of the international contingent on this roster, Riley.
I think that's some experience that John Gallus is really going to be looking for here to really push his players in the last 10 minutes, put an experienced level head on the field, make something happen patiently, and I think that'll suit him.
Ball dangerously working its way into the offensive third of Lane United. Cleared out well, though. Washington Crossfire still looking to make some room to find their way into the attacking third. Switching the field over to Jeffrey Collings. Jeffrey Collings gets his head up to his other substitute, William Tice. Tice battling with Lane United, though foul is called. Played quickly. Edgar Gomez on the ball, finding Casey Phillips. Casey Phillips chips up and out, maybe giving his teammate a little bit of time to recover.
Yeah, Peralt coming onto the field, immediately receiving some tough love from the Washington team. It looks like it'll be okay.
Crossfire now. Seeing Haddadi open and took a deflection on the way. Now finding Velasquez, who turns and goes. Velasquez with a little bit of space to operate. Cutting in. No help, though. It's really by himself up there. He has to manufacture his own chance, working his way around 3 players as Velasquez, doing well with his quick feet. Trying to find the far post. Not able to wrap his foot around it quite enough to achieve the spin to nestle the ball into the back post, but well done by Velasquez.
Absolutely fantastic play from Velasquez, manufacturing his own chances, like you said, up against 4 different Washington defenders. Well done. Couldn't curl it into the far post. Unfortunate for him.
No help came in time for Velasquez. John Gallus might want to see his midfielders getting up in support a little quicker. There's no reason why Velasquez had to go alone there on that effort, Riley.
Well, you can see that Kyrie Shelton has definitely dropped into the defensive midfield, probably to use his bigger frame, his stature, to defend against crosses and set pieces. So it will be Velasquez up top doing most of the work by himself, but he will have support from Edgar Gomez to substitute. Hopefully, he will have his chance.
Gomez touched back to Stelzer, who switches the field. Casey Phillips over to Sasaverovic. Back to Phillips now. Phillips gets his head up, finds Kyrie Shelton playing, as you said, in this defensive midfielder role now with his big body and looking much more composed on the ball than he did playing up top.
Well, there's not as much pressure. There's only number 9, the substitute from the Crossfire, that is pressuring him, and it seems like he has much more time to get his head up and distribute the ball.
Phillips with a great crossfield ball, not quite able to find the feet of Josebaldo Ribes. Runs out for a Crossfire throw and quickly taken to Justin Schmidt. Schmidt with a little bit of space, finding Lars Ludwigs.
And here is the Crossfire beginning to commit players forward, starting with their striker, number 9, Haddadi.
Collings finding William Tice. Phillips now surrounded by Poplaski and Haddadi. Poplaski finds the mag only to the feet of Pipo, who cheekily hit the back heel to Casey Phillips. Now Crossfire throw-in. This Crossfire throw-in was left to Jeffrey Collings. Maybe has a big throw on him as his players make their way into the box, acting as if this will be more of a corner kick than a throw-in. Always great to have that weapon. As Haddadi takes a dive in the middle of the 18-yard box and then pays back that dive that he took to the already hurt Alex Pipo Peralt, though the referee let the play flow.
Peralt's taking 3 or 4 knocks since coming on. Definitely a tough introduction from him, but the ball is managed to be cleared. And here's Shelton.
Shelton turning the ball over, although the pass to Shelton wasn't quite on point. Here is the very active Poplawski turning it over.
Wonderful play by Alarcon here, coming out of his comfort zone a little bit, advancing into the midfield role. Great feat from him.
Velasquez trying to flick it onto Gomez, turned over though at the midfield. Cross-field ball almost finding its way over LUFC, though the header went directly to the Crossfire. Here is Christian Roldan. Christian Roldan trying to find himself some room to shoot, throws it back wide to his teammate in Andy Toma. Toma trying to find some space to cross it, does, cleared out though well by Alarcon.
It's been a pretty tame half from Washington. You have to say not many clear-cut chances for them, despite having a man advantage on the opposition. Lane United playing very well at the back, despite the red card, as we mentioned earlier. Alarcon providing some great clearances, as well as Casey Phillips. Bersano, not much to do.
Another long throw comes into the box, an opportunity for Crossfire, cleared out well by LUFC. A half volley from about 22 yards out, though, never had a chance, and Bersano ready to take the goal kick for LUFC. Alarcon grabbing a sip of water in the process. It's not the warmest out here, but you have to assume these players are tired, as they really have been all over this pitch today. Not many clear-cut opportunities for either team, but that doesn't take away from the running and the legs that they've had to commit today here, Riley.
Especially considering they had a game about 40 hours ago. This is not easy work for many of the Lane United players, which makes sense considering the substitutions that John Gallus has brought into play.
Still, much of the ball, at least in the past 5 or 10 minutes, has been in the LUFC zone. And now there will be cards coming out of the pocket. It looks as if there will be a red card for LUFC, and a scrum is taking place in the corner. Pushes and perhaps even punches being thrown either way. I imagine there will be 2 red cards handed out, one for an LUFC player and one for the third party in, who was a Crossfire player, acting in defense of his injured player, shoved an LUFC player to the ground. So I'd imagine there will be 2 red cards shown here to try to calm down the play.
It appeared as if Alarcon was involved in the altercation. He was initially shielding out the ball and then involved with some extracurricular activities, as we like to say, with Poplawski. We'll see here what the referee decides to do.
Reaching for his pocket is the referee. Red card is out. Red card will go to Alarcon, as I just predicted, and only a yellow card is shown for Poplawski. So 2 men down are LUFC, and the Washington Crossfire perhaps shockingly escaped with only a yellow.
I'm not exactly sure how he only earned a yellow card there. It seemed like it should have been equal punishment for each player. It'll be very difficult for Lane United at this point, with both of their center backs being sent off in this game.
Here is Bersano now talking to the referee as captain, trying to work his way through this situation, perhaps asking, hey, why did we get a red card, but Washington only gets a yellow? Still in discussion is Bersano, showing his disappointment with the referee. Wow, with only 2 minutes left in the game, a second red is shown here. LUFC, though, just hanging on to this tied game right now. 1-1 is the score with 2 minutes left to go here at the Willamette Lane Center. Washington looking to capitalize off of their 2-man advantage. Riley, what does LUFC have to do to stay into this game?
Well, I think Casey Phillips has really got to step up in these last few minutes. Alarcon and him have played very well with the absence of Brendan Anderson from the first half sending off. And now that both of these starting center backs, who have formed a very good partnership for Lane United this season so far, it'll be up to Casey Phillips to really make a name for himself in the back. Kyrie Shelton will for sure be stepping back into a center back role, using his body to dissipate any crosses that come into the fray.
Washington players seem to be suggesting that this should be a free kick in the area where the initial foul took place, though right now LUFC looks to be taking a throw-in. Discussions are taking place between the referee and the players. Referee instructing the LUFC player to scoot back. I believe that is Stelter. Washington with the two-man advantage. Casey Phillips, I think the only remaining defender left that was part of the starting lineup, now slotting back as a traditional center back in the middle of the pitch, and you'd have to imagine that Velasquez will be slotting back into more of a midfield role, and they will just be parking the bus to try to get through the rest of this game. LUFC ball.
Pretty questionable call from the referee. We're obviously not sure of the of what exactly occurred, considering we're spectating from up here.
About 50 yards away from the incident is hard for us to see, but it did seem to be like there was mutual shoving. Definitely a deserved red card for LUFC. One would predict that it would have been a deserved red card for Washington as well.
The players will want to put that out of their head for now and keep calm for the rest of the game and very much defend their well-deserved equalizer in the 55th minute.
Good turn by Justin Schmidt, though, out for an LUFC throw, and now with Stelter. Stelter now throws. Washington under the ball. Gomez clears it up and forward. Trying to get under it is Sasaverovic, who wins the throw. Oh, does not win the throw and turned over to Washington.
It appeared as if Sasaverovic did in fact force the throw in for Lane United, but the opposite has been true.
Great clearance though, stepping forward and winning that 50-50 ball was Phillips. On the chase is Velasquez, who was full of energy last game and came on as a second half substitute here today, so you'd imagine his legs would still be pretty fresh.
And he's been chasing the defenders all game since he's been on. He'll be forced into a more midfield role due to the second sending off. But here he is.
Excuse me, Riley. Stelter clearing it up now back to the defenders of Washington. Velasquez really has not much of a chance to win the ball from playing 1v3 there up at top for LUFC. Handball looks like from the Washington player. No call from the ref. Now lots of chippiness, and the call will go LUFC's way.
They're going to want to take their time with this. Bersano will come up and take the kick.
And a yellow card is awarded for dissent, it seems, for it looks like the substitute Hamza Haddadi. Bersano taking his time now on the top of his 18, setting his ball and getting ready to play it forward. The ref urging him on with the whistle. Flicked on into his own defensive zone by a Crossfire player, and a silky move there from Pipo Peralt, finding some space for himself. Gomez doing some interplay with Sasaverovic, who chips it forward and all the way through to Tyler Viston. Some space to move now forward for Washington.
It seems like safe play from Sasaverovic. Get the ball up the field, make them recycle possession, and retreat back into formation and defend against the counter.
Well kept in by Washington off of a heavy ball forward, cleared out by LUFC, though now drops back to the substitute, Haddadi. Sprays it wide, crosses in now to the hands of Bersano.
Very safe hands from Bersano. He'll be sure to hang on to this for the entire 6 seconds he is allotted.
And we have reached 90 minutes here. No indication of how much extra time will be added. Bersano, though, with a kick forward. Under it, though, is Josep Ribes looking to apply a little pressure forward. Velasquez also praying forward, perhaps trying to get one last gasp effort of a goal, though down 2 men here at the Willamette Lane Center in Springfield, Oregon. Here's LUFC now with a turnover, moving forward. Velasquez lets the ball run, trying to flick it onto himself, and down he goes. No call from the ref. Moving forward is Washington with a little bit of space down the middle. A great tackle from Edward Gomez. A shot on goal only finds the hands of Bersano. Never really had a chance. Haddadi in the area. urging his team to move forward. Only several seconds left in this game. Bersano pushes the ball forward to Velasquez. Velasquez, he's never one to rest and almost touches it around the keeper of Tyler Viston. It seemed as if he might have gotten a fist as Velasquez is still down, maybe making a meal of it, as we have mentioned earlier, back up and looks totally fine again.
Was a great chance from Velasquez, really putting pressure on the center backs who are tired at this point. Almost gets a shot on goal. Great save from the keeper, Viston.
Poplawski there was too eager to take that throw in and actually grab the ball before it went out of bounds, though it seems as if that handball wasn't called, and now it's an LUFC throw. And there is the full-time whistle. A 1-1 draw here, the first draw ever for Lane United Football Club, going down one man and then going down two men later in the game thanks to two red cards. Riley, what is your assessment here from the LUFC perspective and then from the Washington perspective?
Well, you have to say the first yellow card on the center back, Brendan Anderson, may be soft, and the red card that ensued afterward may have been deserved, but they recovered well, they played well, defended well, and made opportunities for themselves, such as the penalty through Kyrie Shelton. Overall, great defensive performance considering the circumstances, and a lackluster performance in the second half from the Washington team. Really didn't threaten the Lane United goalkeeper Bersano.
Some new names were introduced here today, Riley. Did any of them stand out to you as perhaps players that we will see more of moving forward this season?
Well, I think the team sheet will be shuffled around quite a bit. You saw 4 or 5 substitutions here. Keeping the fresh legs is very important. Although they do have another game in 2 weeks' time, who knows what the lineup will be. But some impressive performances by some of the starters as well as the substitutes.
I want to thank Riley Dellinger, my color man up here, as well as Jake and Dylan and Chris, the rest of the production crew. As always, thank you to our sponsors, Oakshire, Tethero, Tensegrity, Slocum, KEZI, Agate Alley, and more. We appreciate all that you've done for this club, and we appreciate your continued support. Thank you to the fans watching at home, and be sure to tune in 2 weeks' time as we stream LUFC's 3rd game of the season live. Thank you once again for joining us, and thank you, Riley. It's been a pleasure.
Pleasure.
And we are out.